Hey everybody, what's going on? I just wanted to continue on with the videos I was creating on basic terminal commands, moving around the terminal, and basically just using the terminal as opposed to using a GUI file manager. I want to go a little farther than I did last time. I want to touch on a few commands for creating and organizing files and directories. If you remember last time, we did PWD, which was print working directory, told you where you are in the file system. CD to change directories from one to the other. LS and LSA and LSL to list the contents of the directories. I went on the touch command as well for creating a file. I just wanted to say one thing on that. I was reminded by a guy who has a great channel, Terminal for Life. Check it out. The guy is amazing. I watch his videos all the time. He puts out great content. I mean, he is sharp when it comes to using the terminal, and just kind of blows me away the stuff he does. So I really suggest you check him out if you're seriously interested in learning about this terminal. Check out his channel. Again, it's Terminal for Life. I highly recommend it. But he reminded me that the touch command that I use to create a file isn't officially for creating a file. It's actually for updating the timestamp on already created files without changing any of the data in the file. Now, that being said, if the file isn't already created, it will create it. So I really have just gotten into the bad habit of using touch to create files. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's not the official use case for it. So I just figured I'd throw that out there, just a little heads up. Again, check out Terminal for Life. He reminded me of that. Great guy, great channel. Let's get into what I want to go over today. So basically, we are going to start covering a little bit more of the organization and creation commands for files and directories. If you remember from the last video, I did do a command called mkdir, M-K-D-I-R, and we are going to make a directory right now. We're going to call it tutorial. So now we're going to cd into tutorial. Let's see if I can spell right. You'll notice a theme in my videos, and that is I can't spell or type, I guess, is better, worth beans. So now we are in the directory we just created called tutorial. If we do an ls, it's going to show empty because we just created it. There's nothing in there. So that was nice and simple. Created a directory in less than a second with one command. You can do the same thing in a GUI file manager. You right click on it and create new file or new whatever, it's right there, and you name it and it pops up. But where the terminal shines is, say I want to make, inside this directory, I want to make 26 individual directories, one for each letter of the alphabet. Now, thinking about how we do that, you would think, okay, mkdir A, enter, that's going to create A, and then again do it for B, and then for C, and then for D, and then for E. Well, yeah, you could do it that way, but it would take some time. And imagine if you had to make 100 files or hundreds of directories, that would take a long time. Well, in the terminal, all you have to do is use that same command, mkdir, and we want 26. We want one for every letter of the alphabet. So we're going to do a square the bracket, we're going to do A dot Z, and then a closing square bracket. That's going to tell the terminal, and that's going to tell the computer, I want to make a directory, one for A all the way through Z. And then we hit enter, and if we do ls now in this directory, you can see we have 26 individual A through Z directories. So we can cd into A, and if we do pwd, like I said, print working directory, tells us where we are. We can see we're in home, Jake, tutorial, A. So now if we go back, back, usually I'll do a disclaimer here. To go back a file is usually cd ... I do have it aliased in my ZSHRC to where I only have to press ... but that's a story for another day. So just heads up, if you see me type the ... that is really me typing cd ... I will try to remember to use the cd so I'm not confusing anybody. But so now we're back in our tutorial. We do an ls again, and we have all these. Okay, so now, say we want to create a file, a text file, for each letter of the alphabet. Now, if you remember, we use the touch command, or I use the touch command. So we would do, say we want to make a file for A, we would do touch a.txt, and that would create a file touch a.txt. And again, using a GUI, you could right click and name file, and you would have a.txt. But say we want to have one file, one text file, A through Z, then just like the make dir command, we would do the square the bracket a.z, and we would close it and put .txt. So now this is touch. This is going to create a file, and it's going to do one file for each letter of the alphabet, A through Z, and it's going to have the txt extension on it. So if we hit enter, only took less than a second. We hit ls, and now we can see here we have a directory a.text file, directory b.text file, directory c.text file, and so on, all the way through Z. So just like that, within a matter of a couple commands, we have created 26 directories and 26 files within a matter of seconds. And this really highlights the efficiency of the terminal. When you want something done, the terminal is so much more efficient than finding a GUI file manager, opening it up, navigating to the directory you want to be in, or creating the directory you want to be in, and then creating each individual file. Being able to do this from the terminal just blows that away. So let's create a couple more files here. We're going to do a touch a.z close.mp4. We're going to create some mp4 files. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do .jpg, and you can see I'm using the same command for all of them. Touch in the closing brackets, anything you want those files to be named. Say you wanted them 1 through 100, then you would do touch 1.100, and then put your file extension on there. So anything you want to do, you just stick them in the brackets there. If you want to have a sequential list, you couldn't have like, okay, I want my files to be named Bob, Betty, Steve, Bill, John. You would have to individually type each one of those on the command and do it that way. But if you just want a sequential, A to Z, 1 to 100, then you can just go this route. So we're going to create A to Z let's see, we got MP4, we got JPEG, we got TXT. Let's do PNG. So now if we do an ls, you can see all this stuff we've got all over in this directory here. It's a mess, right? So we now have about, 100 or so files and directories in here, maybe a little more than that. My math is not the greatest, but anyway. So let's clear, and let's do an ls again so we can see what all we got here. So we have directory ABC through Z, we have JPEGs A through Z, MP4s A through Z, text files A through Z, PNG files A through Z. So we got all this stuff, right? So say we want to get all of the let's say all of the A files into the A directory. How would we go about doing that? Well, it's really quite simple. GUI file manager, you can go in and click on each one, highlight it, drag it into the other file or into the directory you want, one at a time, or if they're next to each other, you can highlight multiple, or however you want to do it. But again, we're in the terminal, and efficiency is king in the terminal. So all we need to do to take all of the, say we want to put all of the F files, whether they're JPEG, MP4, PNG, TXT, whatever. Say we want all of the F files into the F directory. Well, two things. Do we want to copy them there, or do we want to move them there? Well, for this, let's move them there. So the move command is pretty simple to remember. It's just MV. So we have MV for move, and we want to take all of the F dot whatever. The star is a glob. That means anything that is an F file, whether it's JPEG, MP4, PNG, or TXT, the dot star means it's going to take anything. As long as that file is an F dot, it's going to take all of those files. And we want to move them to, we want to move them to home, tutorial F. And we hit enter. So, just like that, if we do an ls, we can go through and we can see that we have A, JPG, B, C, D, E, and then G. Well, where'd all my F's go? Well, let's look. Let's CD into F. And now that we're in F, let's do an ls. Now, we created a JPEG, an MP4, a PNG, and a TXT file for F. And just that one command, that move f.star, excuse me, moved each and every one of those into the correct directory. So now let's try this again. Let's say we want to create a, so we'll go back to the tutorial and let's make directory, and we're going to call it JPG, PNG, MP4, and TXT. Enter. So we've just created a directory for JPEGs, for PNGs, for MP4s, and for text files. So what do we do if we want to move all of the MP4s into the MP4 directory, but yet we still want to move all of the K files, which includes an MP4, into the K directory? Well, what we can do is we can do a MV K, we can do MP star dot MP4, and we're going to move that to home tutorial MP4. Enter. So that just took all of my MP4 files. If I do an ls, you can see we no longer have any MP4 files here. That took all of my MP4 files and moved them into the MP4 directory. Well, now we want to get the K MP4 file into the K directory as well, but we don't want to remove it from the tutorial file. Basically, we can do CP, which stands for copy. And so if we do copy k.mp4, and we want to copy that to home tutorial K. Now, if we do an ls, we can see that we still have kmp4, but if we do cd ... we do ls, now we have cd into K, ls we have the K in the mp4 file as well, just from the CP command. The CP command can be used just like the move command. So if I wanted to just copy all of the JPEG files into the JPEG directory, I could do copy star.jpg home tutorial JPG, hit enter. Now if we look here, we still have the JPG files in the tutorial file, into the tutorial directory, but if we cd into the JPG directory and do an ls, you can see that they've all been copied into there as well. So just like that, with just a simple, this is getting pretty ugly, with just a simple command, we can create directories, as many as we want really. We can move stuff around and we can copy stuff. The efficiency of the terminal just blows me away when you actually sit down and go through things and just see how easy it can be to move stuff around. The file system is so much easier to navigate when doing it from the command line. I can't stress that enough. Again, I've said it before, it takes a bit of a learning curve. It is going to take some time to get used to, but once you actually get used to it, you can be head and shoulders above your efficiency level from before. So again, the commands today that we used were mkdir, and remember, if you use the star, it's a glob, which means it will take any file. So if you did star.jpg, it's going to take any JPG file it sees in that directory, and it's going to do what you tell it to do. If you did a.star, it's going to take every file that's a dot, and it's going to, whether it's JPG, PNG, MP4, whatever, it's going to take all those and it's going to move them. So, and remember, when we wanted to create multiple directories, it's a squirrely bracket. So say we wanted to do one, like I said, 1.100. We wanted to create 100 of them, right? So we did that. So we're in tutorial JPG. If we do an ls, now look, we have 1 through 100 directories created just like that. Again, so simple, so efficient, so much better. Highly recommend you check it out. Again, I want to bring back to mention Terminal for Life. The guy is great, channel's great. Really think you should check him out. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you learned a little something from this, and I hope you're using this stuff on your own throughout the weeks and getting yourself familiarized with this. I really think that this can benefit you. I'm not here to push Linux on anybody or push this way of doing things on anybody. I'm just here to highlight the efficiency, the effectiveness, and just how amazing the terminal is. The command line is awesome. I cannot stress that enough. You guys are great. Thanks again for watching. Have a blessed evening. God bless, and I will see you next time.